given that in the show of hands, I want you to speak, to us your own experience around activism and how you think what just played out in this as it connects to social media affects citizen engagement or civic engagement. Just walk us through your thoughts.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So the first thing I'm going to say is that die na die. Now only one die we get. And anyhow that die come, and so that die will be. It's as simple as that, you understand? For me, that's the point I come from. You know, when people talk, because a lot of people talk about, you're not afraid of being killed. And I always say to people, death is no longer when you can no longer breathe in oxygen and bring out carbon dioxide. Death is when you no longer speak because you're afraid to die. And unfortunately, a lot of people are in a position where they can't speak out, and it didn't start with the government. The first set of dictators we had were parents. Many parents in Nigeria are dictators. You're told to be seen, you're supposed to be seen, but not heard. As a child, you're not allowed to speak a voice if you say something, even just simple asking questions. Have you ever wondered why Nigerians are aggressive when you ask them questions? For example, customer care, you're asking a question, the person is like, there's that anger. Because you were beaten several times for asking questions as children. We're not supposed to speak. For those of us who were stubborn enough to keep talking, they called us stubborn children and all of that. And then what then happened is that, first of all, people replaced their parents with teachers. Teachers continued the same thing. Religious leaders also. And then we became adults and we just simply replaced, those authority with government. Government now became the one that tells us what to do and what not to do. And unfortunately also, because our society was militarized for a very long time. My son is, how old is he now? What year are we now? 2026. He's going to be 2027 going to be 27 years in March. So he was born in 1999. He was born March. I think, was it a month or two later, democracy came in. He was born 30th of May. He doesn't know what military leadership is all about. And then we have quite a number of young people who don't. But we have a vast number of people who grew up being told to sit down, and they just sit down without saying anything. And so most times when they even see you speak, when you're holding your leaders accountable, they tend to think that you're doing something criminal. I mean, someone wrote something on Facebook comparing one government with another. Instead of that government to be ashamed of itself and its failure, and the fact that it has failed its people, it had the audacity to go out and arrest, the citizen who is challenging. Because if you don't believe in a government, you will not come out and compare it with anything. That comparison said that there's something in you that you can do, and we're saying to you, no be two head that boy get. All of us remember the two head story. I'm sure our parents kept telling your mate to get two head. You understand? You just simply saying to them, that state, the governor no get two head. You guys sit up, kind of a thing. And it flew. They were able to do that and stop people from doing that. And like I said earlier, some other people are going to say to you, why are you even speaking? Why are you even making this comparison? And one of the things for me, just hearing the story that was just retold now, is to say, what is NBA doing? What is it doing to at least discipline some of its members who are supposed to be, they uphold human rights and all of that? But these are people who are actually infringing on other people's human rights. So we have to get to a place where there's, where they call it punishment for, let's even leave the agency for now, because there are a lot of lawyers who are doing this, right? We'll come to the judiciary. I'm talking about the lawyers. NBA should do something. You can't, on one hand, you tell us that you're upholding human rights, and on another hand, your members are, taking away people's, abusing people's human rights, and you do nothing to that. And by virtue of doing nothing, you're simply, endorsing what they're doing. And that shouldn't be. So we should have something like that. For me, like when you talk about, like my phone, since 2014, I know my phones are bugged. But the thing is that whatever I say inside, I will say double outside. So if you want to hear me, come and hear. And I haven't been arrested. We've gone to a place where we're briefly detained. And even at that, some of our members were arrested by police, and we followed them in, and they left us out. But I've always said that I think for me, there's sort of like, maybe there's more freedom in there than out here. Because a lot of people are in prison. Where most Nigerians are mentally in captivity. And so you find out that people are not speaking. So in my case, the issue of threat, they threaten you. They probably tell you, for me, I'm told I'm not a Muslim because I don't conform enough. I've been told there's been a lot of death threats. I've had sisters. I've had a sister whose husband, she lives in Kano, by the way. And I have 3 sisters. We sort of like look alike. People sometimes don't know who is who. And her husband at one time was like, do you need to start wearing niqab so that you're not lynched? Especially during that EndSARS period. And so there are a lot of times where you're getting this death threats, you're getting a whole lot against you. But in my own case, I would say I'm a bit, should I call it privileged, or I have that advantage in the sense that I don't depend on government for my daily living. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a trader. And by the way, when Prof was talking about traders, I'm a trader. When I was trading, I already had my master's in pharmaceutical microbiology and I still have a shop in the market. So some of those traders, it's not that they are not educated. We're all educated. So a good number are quite educated. And so for me, I'm a trader and I was able to get my financial independence before I started, by the time I started speaking. So in a way, that doesn't hold. But before I just round up on this point to say, one of the things that they use a lot is being able to take away the financial freedom from people. Financial abuse is used a lot. And so when you know that your source of living, where you earn your daily bread is dependent on something, you can't speak, and rightfully so at the end of the day. I think the first thing that all of us need to realize is that injustice to one is injustice to all. And one for all, like they say, one for all for one. If anything happens to someone and we speak out, or we all speak out, at least a certain percentage, a critical percentage speaks out, they wouldn't be able to continue to do the things that they're doing. And I'll quickly give you an example. The example of the journalist in Kano who did everything, you understand, worked so hard to show us that a governor was packing money in his Babariga dollars. At the end of the day, that journalist was the one that was taken to court, and not the governor that did that. But what did we citizens do? We did nothing. I think the other thing also, like, so quickly before I come to those solutions, when you're talking about what is being done to the media, even the quality of interviews that you have with them, it's drastically reduced. You're saying something and you are being interrupted by the person interviewing you and telling you that, oh, that's your own opinion. You have to sound like, before, why am I here? I've said that, I don't believe Nigeria has a president. You are telling me that, oh, I say it's me, Aisha Yesufu, that said it. Why are you telling me this? And so because of the fact that they are fined, I once left a place after an interview and then the media house was fined. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a court order that has stopped the NBC from fining. So that's like one of those solutions. We going to court, we testing the law. So that's also something that citizens, can do. Or when we see something that it's wrong, let's test the law to as far as it can go. In the sense of citizens also, it's for citizens to understand their rights and therefore there to be that protection. One of the things, like I said earlier, what is NBA doing? I know the NBA itself, the president has released, I think it was the Galki branch that did that. Very shamelessly. This is a man who was convicted. This is a criminal. There's no, I think, it's not all that in the alleged, there's nothing alleged about it. The court of competent jurisdiction has said that Abdul Rashid Maina is a thief. He stole pension, you understand? He stole in billions when people were still stealing in millions. He was one of the earlier people that said the president for stealing in billions. Now they are entering trillions. Yeah, so that's the thing. And so because of the fact that there's also judicial intimidation, I think that's why you talked about NJC. Yes. We should call it, because we have a lot of, what we have today, both the police, the judiciary, they have become willing tool of oppression, rather than protecting people and safeguarding people's rights. So there's a need also for the NJC to stand up, and for the judiciary to no longer be, that tool, that's willing tool of oppression that people can buy at any rate to oppress other people. I'll just stop here if you're in a hurry. Thank you.